Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order. Council is conducting this meeting in person and via conference call in accordance with the Municipal Government Act, Section 199. Council chambers is now open for public attendance in person. However, councillors and members of the public may still join meetings remotely using our current teleconference process. If you've submitted a comment request, the chair will call on you at the appropriate time. The chair may also ask for comments and concerns from the public relating to a particular topic, and at this time, phone lines will be unmuted. If you would like to speak, please state your name. We ask that only one member of the public speak at a time. All persons will be allotted 10 minutes to speak as per our procedural bylaw. We ask that if the meeting recesses, that any callers hang up and call back in as the meeting reconvenes. This helps with call quality. Please note this call is being recorded and will be uploaded to our website and/or social media. To eliminate background noise, please mute your phone during the meeting. Everyone has a right to be present at council meetings and council committee meetings. Any attendees that are considered disruptive to the progression of this meeting may be removed at the discretion of the chair as per the Municipal Government Act, Section 198. We thank you for your cooperation and understanding. We have an agenda before us. Does anybody have any additions or changes?
Good morning, Reeve Link, Brian from Administration. Administration has four additions for Council's consideration to add to the agenda today. The first item is a wetland payment for Township Road 230 construction. So that one we're hoping to add to agenda item 2.3.5. We also had some correspondence from the Village of Hazar that we're just hoping to add to correspondence under 3.1. And then we have two in-camera items to potentially add as well. Some Brownlee correspondence for board membership and vaccine requirements, and response to the hydrogen industry. And both of those would be under Section 24 of WIP. Thank you.
Any other additions or changes? Motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
Councillor Larson has moved. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We had the minutes circulated from the regular council meeting of December 8th. Any errors or omissions? Councillor Kester has moved. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to 2.1. 2.11, Bylaw 2021-29.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
Stefan Kuntz presenting on behalf of Administration. Let's pull up the item. Right, so this item considers the public hearing and second and third readings for a proposal to redesignate the subject lands from Industrial General District to Intensive Industrial District. These subject lands are located within the Goldfinch Area Structure Plan. They're immediately south of Township Road 222 and approximately a quarter mile to a half mile west of Range Road 265. So again, the applicant is proposing to redesignate from Industrial General to Intensive Industrial District in order to accommodate the development of an automotive salvage yard. So they intend to strip unwanted vehicles of salvageable parts for resale. This is intended to take place within a building currently located on site as well as an outdoor storage area. It should be noted, just before we begin, the development of this began throughout the summer of 2001 or 21, prior to consideration of this item, obviously, as well as prior to the issuance of a development permit. So the lands are subject to a stop order currently. So in terms of the existing conditions on site, the site is 7.77 acres in size. And as you can see from the air photo, it's developed with a variety of accessory buildings. Again, the proposed one for this particular development is this building here. There is currently a dwelling and a detached garage on site. It should be noted that intensive industrial district does not feature dwelling as a use, so it would be permitted to remain should the lands be redesignated. However, it would be a non-conforming use subject to the Municipal Government Act. So this means that if it was damaged substantially, it may not be able to be rebuilt, and it may not be added to. So in terms of the technical considerations, the lands are south of Township Road 222. There is an approach to that road right in the middle of the site right here. The applicant provided a conceptual traffic impact assessment, which indicated theoretically the traffic volumes generated by the development can be accommodated within the existing transportation network. In terms of servicing, the site, again, it has a dwelling on it. That dwelling is serviced by a private sewage treatment system and a water well. However, these are purely for the residential use, essentially. So they lack a commercial license in order to use this for the business use. So essentially, the applicant has proposed to haul water and wastewater to and from the site, but has not provided any details for the location of the cistern or holding tanks, or exactly how that's going to work. There is a stormwater pond located here in the southeast portion of the lands. As the application is not proposing a development of any new structures, it's likely that that's sufficient. However, it should be noted with outdoor storage that can have the potential to carry contaminants to the drainage network. So that may be something that is required to be considered through the development permit process.
Sorry, through the chair. Did we open the public hearing to this one? So we should open the public hearing and then maybe just go right back to that stuff. Sorry.
My apologies.
That's right.
Thank you. My apologies, everybody. Sorry, Stefan. I move that the process for the Wheatland County Council meeting, as it pertains to the scheduled public hearings, will be as follows. Public hearing, first reading if required, then consideration for further readings of bylaw for those public hearings that have been closed. I further move that the above process will take place with the absence of resolutions to go into and out of council before and after each public hearing. All in favor? Motion is carried. And does any member of the public have an objection to any councillor sitting on council for the public hearing? And can administration please verify that notice of the public hearing was circulated in accordance with the Municipal Government Act?
Through the chair, yes, we can.
And are there any written submissions?
Through the chair, there are 2 written submissions. They have been provided in the report package.
Perfect, thank you.
Problem, thank you. And that's a good catch. Yeah, so that was the technical considerations. In terms of the statutory policy, these subject lands are located within the Goldfinch Area Structure Plan, which differentiates between light industrial in the blue color and heavy industrial in the purple. So the Area Structure Plan aligns rather nicely with our land use bylaw as well. So I'll kind of talk about those 2 concurrently. So the light industrial area, which again is in the blue, which is where the subject lands are located, that aligns with the Industrial General District. So the Industrial General District in the land use bylaw, and again that's the current land use, is intended to provide for light to medium industrial development that has minimal to no impact on adjacent landowners. And again, reflecting the light industrial in the area structure plan, the light industrial is intended to provide for light industrial uses that have minimal to no impacts on adjacent landowners. The proposed use, which is the intensive industrial, the land use bylaw purpose and intent of that is to accommodate medium and heavy industrial development that creates moderate to significant nuisance factor for adjacent landowners. So again, reflecting the area structure plan, the heavy industrial area is intended to accommodate medium to heavy industrial development that creates a moderate to significant nuisance for adjacent landowners. So as you can see, those align rather well. Additionally, the lands are located within the country residential transition area, which is this yellow area. That's intended, obviously, around the border of the industrial area structure plan in order to buffer or transition the industrial uses to the non-industrial uses outside of the area structure plan. This overlay area requires some additional measures. In this case, a mitigation plan is required to identify potential negative effects of the proposed development and provide mitigation strategies. This was mentioned in the letter of intent, but one was not provided. In addition, requirements for landscaping screening and noise attenuation are required. It is a developed site, so there are some obviously existing vegetation and that type of thing. The applicant did provide a conceptual visual impact assessment, which you may review in the package. So all that said, in summary, the application proposes development of heavy industrial use within a light industrial area, and the supporting information and mitigation methods provided do not satisfy the requirements of the area structure plan. As such, the proposal does not comply with statutory policy. So administration has recommended refusal of the application. So that's the wording for that. The motions are on page 14. So that's provided there. We have provided the wording for approval should council consider that as well. That is on page 17. Those motions there for you. But again, we are recommending refusal. That concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions should we have any.
Any questions? Does the applicant wish to speak? If you can come to the podium, please, and state your name for the record.
Just give you a little spray here.
And as per our procedural bylaw, you will have 10 minutes to present, and then if there's questions following.
You can use the most.
Sorry, I'm just gonna grab. Circulate this.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Nariman Bashiri, and I'm the applicant owner of Alpha Auto Parts. I'll be speaking on behalf of the company. I'd like to first thank you all for allowing us this opportunity to have this hearing. I would like to first address the concerns of the surrounding landowners opposed to the change of land use. I hope to provide clarity, as I feel that there are many misconceptions about the nature of our business and assumptions being made. In response to Beverly and Neil Miller, we're aware that you own the adjoining lands and are concerned about your land value. The subject land, however, is already part of the IG district. Our business attracts many different types of clientele, from farmers to auto body shops, insurance companies, and so on. It is important to know what type of people will need our service, and we believe that it is unfair to refuse service based on assumptions. The traffic, as mentioned in our TIA, will be minimal compared to traffic to and from surrounding businesses in the area, for example, Nutrient and Orica. We will be offering free delivery to surrounding areas such as Calgary, Strathmore, Okotoks, and Airdrie in an effort to reduce traffic coming to and from the subject lands. The environmental concerns have also been covered in a letter of intent to the county. We have put procedures in place to ensure that there's no pollution. All vehicles are drained in the shop where there is a concrete base, and only the shells and suspension components and body panels are to be stored outdoors. We take pride in our practices and ensure that there's no stacking of vehicle shells, leaking liquids, or scrap metal laying around. This is not only for safety, but we enjoy working in an organized, clean environment. We understand that our actions have not been favorable in regards to us moving into the subject lands. It was done in a hurry, and we did not have the best of luck finding a suitable piece of land to conduct business within the city of Calgary. Our landlord is at the premises multiple times throughout the week. It is unfair to assume he's financially driven. Since the stop order has been implemented, we have been working with the Wetland County officials and have been downsizing as quickly as we can. We have successfully removed and scrapped 20 vehicles. We have been abiding by and respecting the stop order, as we do not want to cause any trouble. We were not under the impression that moving to the premises would cause any issues, and as we did contact the county officials the day after finding the property listing on Kijiji. It was our mistake to assume that we may move in and apply for the land use change afterwards. In regards to the letter of opposition received by Patricia Miller, we would like to reassure all adjacent landowners that there will be a privacy fence erected around the perimeter of the property in order to block the view into the property. This will mitigate the concern of unsightliness. As mentioned earlier, there will be no liquids left in the vehicles being stored outdoors as well. This mitigates the risk of pollution. There will be minimal traffic as we plan to offer free delivery and shipping to surrounding areas. There has been a conceptual traffic impact assessment done to support this claim. Our business attracts anybody that is in need of parts for their vehicle, regardless of whether they are a private owner or large corporation. We do not discriminate. All VIN numbers are reported and bought from auctions or privately. All vehicle purchases are recorded and have bills of sale. These concerns are monitored by myself and as well as Alberta Motor Vehicle Industry Council, AMVIC. This was all mentioned in the letter of intent as far as our contribution to the local economy, specifically Wetland County. We do not feel that it is fair to say that we do not contribute to the community just because we do not live in the area. We are repeat customers to many of the businesses in Carsland and Langdon. We use services like restaurant, gas stations, grocery stores. Our customers will be making use of these services as well as they will be passing through these towns. We do not feel that we must live on the premises in order to make a contribution. As mentioned earlier, we have removed 20 vehicles from the premises and are in the process of removal of more. It takes time, but we're doing our best to comply and keep everybody happy. In response to the letter received from Donald Zwingli, we understand that dust may be of concern. It is necessary to note that Mr. Zwingli's property is not near Township Road 222A and is separated by the CP train tracks and substantial amount of land as buffer. Township Road 222A is used by many people that use it as an access road to their properties and destinations. Our business is a small contributor to the dust concern. However, we believe that this is a mutual responsibility of all those who use this road. We are willing to work together with the surrounding property owners to mitigate any concerns. The issue with the maps has also been brought to our attention, and we have been in contact with Google Maps to try to fix them. We plan to propose putting up signs leading to the premises once we have completed the land use change. We apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused you as adjacent landowners. Thank you to each of these landowners for your input as we hope to have answered everybody's questions. Our application has received no opposition from ATCO Gas, ATCO Transmission High Pressure Pipeline, Fortis Alberta, and McIlhenny Engineering, and the resident living on the property as well. In regards to the dwelling on site, we will be erecting a fence in order to separate the premises, our business, and the home on the property as well. It is also necessary to mention that the current tenant residing in the home is not against our proposed land use, and we have received the letter in support from him as well. As for the screening plan, we have attached a code given to us by Phoenix Fencing. We're still in the process of receiving codes from other companies as well. In the picture, it shows where we're going to cover in the papers provided to you and the type of fencing that will be used. During the council meeting that took place on November 16, 2021, we noticed that there was concern about the traffic volumes. We would like to reassure the council and concerned landowners that we will be offering delivery again and opening up a retail location in Calgary to minimize any traffic coming to and from subject lands. The concern of water and wastewater was also mentioned. We do not have access to the well and have no use for the water. We bring drinking water with us when we're on the premises. We're also planning on to install a cistern to hold clean water as well as holding tank for sewage if we are to be at the premises for long term. We acknowledge that we're in the overlay of Goldfinch Industrial Plan and we're willing to work with the county and landowners to ensure that there are no nuisances. The letter of intent was only an overview of what we're willing to provide and more information, and we're willing to provide more information if needed, be it studies, assessments, and so forth. We believe that our business is crucial to the environment as well as the economy. We not only recycle vehicles for their useful, reusable parts that otherwise would be scrapped, but limit the need to import new products and parts from other countries. We hope that we have provided clarity and look forward to the next steps in the application process. As you are all aware, we're a small family-owned, operated business. We believe that this is an essential business which eliminates waste and focuses on the betterment of the environment and the economy. We understand that there are many misconceptions that come from this line of business, and we hope that we have provided you with some clarity on what we do and who we are. We thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for the time and consideration. And
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much.
I do have one, sorry.
Oh, we do have one question, sir.
I wrote it down, I forgot to ask you. How high is that fence that you've got?
8 foot.
8 feet?
8 feet, yes.
Okay, thank you. Is that with the wire after?
No.
8 screened?
8 screened, yes.
8 screened?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And it's 90% blockage.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So just like the ones in the picture provided. Yep.
Any other questions for the applicant? Are there any persons who would like to speak in support of the application?
No problem.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Trimer Morrow. I'm the owner of the land out there. So I want to verify that they have done a good job in keeping it clean. I have my own oil storage tanks, and they have their own. So when they dump, they have everything go into big storage tanks, and then they get it sucked out when one of the companies come by to recycle. So I've checked the property quite a bit. There's no garbage around. They keep everything neat and tidy. Everything's organized on shelves and sort of alike. I am willing to put in an extra 10 to 15 trees on that east side because we've had a couple of trees die on us, older mature trees that got mites in them, and they just kill the trees off. So we're going to replace those 2 or 3 trees on that side, and then I'll carry that line up to the corner of 222 up to where we have the snow fence there. So that would block view from that corner, which would look nice actually, because the other end of the property is all covered in trees at the residential end. So I think if I plant some trees there and maybe some taller bushes along that driving lane along 222, it'll look quite good. Not that I plan on moving there, gentlemen. I would love to live out in the country, but I have 17 grandkids in the city, so I'm not going too far. So you can see on the map how the residential area has lots of trees on both sides there. So we will carry that line of trees up from those green bins down by the pond. We've got trees along there now. So we'll put another few trees in there up to the corner where it turns, and that'll block that. It'll give it a good appearance. I'm not sure about the north side of 222, what we'll do with that. Besides putting in the fence, maybe we'll put trees in to make it look better. But we'll work with the county to make sure it's appropriate. So that's all I got to say about them. They're good kids. They keep the property clean. They seem to run a struggling business, as all young people do, but we've given them our support, and we're willing to help to make it work for them. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Thank you. Are there any other persons who would like to speak in support of the application? Are there any persons with concerns or opposed to the application who wish to speak? Did we have any comment requests?
No, none that we had. Just to confirm, did you unmute the other lines? Okay.
Would the applicant like to address any comments or have anything final to say? Councillor Kester?
I didn't see or hear how many vehicles getting ready for salvage and how many shells would be stored on the property.
Is the applicant able to address that? If you could come to the microphone, please.
Could you please repeat your question? Oh, could you please repeat your question?
Yeah, how many vehicles would be stored on the village, both, on the property, not the village, before demolition and after demolition, the two different storage piles, how many would there be?
On the right side of the property, which is mostly the gravel side, I see about 2 acres of land for storing, and based on our land in Calgary, I would assume we can fit about 300 to 500 vehicles there, and they would be cycling. Like they wouldn't all be sitting 500 at times. They would be, one of them would be at their end of their life, but they would be going to the further recycling facilities in Calgary, such as Calgary Metal, or some of them are just new come-ins, but I would say max 500. And there would be no stacking vehicles.
So max of 500. What would you think the average would be?
Average on a given day, like how many we would have? Well, right now we have about 53, so that would take a few years to get there. I would say 2 to 3 years to get to that maximum potential of like how well we can do. But average, I would say 200 to 300.
Okay, and no stacking?
No stacking, no, because quite frankly, our vehicles are not are not pick and pull vehicles, if you know what I mean. Like they're not $200 to $300 vehicles that we buy to. They're pretty new vehicles, so. We can't afford to wreck the roof, wreck the glass, wreck the doors, frames. So we sell everything. So.
Okay. So the purpose is to sell it till there's nothing left of it? Then,
absolutely no.
Then it goes away?
Yes, yeah. And that's, we take as much reusable parts as possible, and if the rest will literally get separated, aluminum, wiring, alternators, everything gets separated and goes to the proper place in the city. And again, it would be mostly used as for a warehouse place. This is 45 minutes away from the city of Calgary or any major city. People don't want to come down there to pick up a $20 part. And that's why we're offering a small retail location where we will be taking our parts and stocking up our store in the city so we can just sell it through there. That's really our main face for the business. This is just a storage where we can, bring cars in, strip them, tag them, organize them, and then take them to the city, keep stocking the place.
Okay,
thanks. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. And does staff have any final comments?
Through the chair, no, we do not.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the applicant and all those present for attending the hearing and making submissions. We'll adjourn the public hearing for Bylaw 2021-29. Council's wishes.
I guess my biggest, if I could speak now, my biggest concern is changing it to heavy industrial. I mean, we have the Goldfinch there. We had the public hearings. I was there. I heard what people were saying. They do want that buffer away from heavy industrial. And I mean, we had it planned out, and it's nothing against their business. Their business sounds fine. It's just that once we change that to heavy industrial, I mean, they rent the land. We don't know what could happen after the land is sold. It's still listed heavy industrial, and that, it opens the doors to, composting, like that category of designation could open up big problems. And then if it's done there, why not? Why can't someone apply for it heavy industrial in other places in Goldfinch where it's not? Like we purposely went where the residents were, and that's how we laid out the aerial structure, or they laid out the aerial structure plan. Public was there, and they had their input at the time. So that's my biggest concern, is changing the designation of the land. But if there's no other comments, I'll actually make the motion that council refuse bylaw 2021-29. This being a bylaw for the purpose of amending land use bylaw number 2016-01 to redesignate 7.77 acres from industrial general district to intensive industrial district, as shown on the attached Schedule A forming part of this bylaw.
Questions or discussion? I would support the motion as well, and it's just the misalignment with the statutory plans. I know it was very strategic when the Goldfinch ASP was developed, and I do think that transition zone is critical. And by delineating out the light industrial use that has those minimal or no impacts on adjacent landowners versus a development that could have in the intensive industrial the moderate to significant impact on adjacent landowners, I do think that's key just for mitigating those impacts, to keep that transition zone consistent. And like Councillor Bigger said, I would have long-term concerns as well, because obviously redesignation does open it up to other land uses that are within that designation. And so I do support the motion based on those reasons. Any other questions or discussion? I'm sorry, no, because the public hearing has ended. I'm sorry. If there's no other questions or discussion, I will call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to 2.12, Bylaw 2021-33.
Good morning, Council. Brad Bullock from Administration presenting. So you have before you a proposal of an updated utility services bylaw. So this bylaw is an update to the previous one. What it does is it's more comprehensive than the last one, more detailed, provides additional information both for administration to use as a guide for handling bylaw services, billing, when providing services and infrastructure to ratepayers, as well as additional information for ratepayers in dealing with the utility servicing provided by the county. And if there are any questions in regards to the bylaw as presented, I'm here to answer those questions. And administration is recommending that council provide the 4 resolutions in front of you. That council provide first reading of water and wastewater services bylaw. That council provide second reading of the water and wastewater services bylaw, 2021-33. that permission be granted to hold third and final reading of Water and Wastewater Services Bylaw 2021-33. And finally, that council provide third and final reading of Water and Wastewater Services Bylaw 2021-33.
Any questions?
I have just a question on the new bylaw. It just, I think there's just a oversight in that it starts with part 1, provision of services, and then it skips to part 3. I'm not sure if there was a part missing or if it's just a...
What page are you on, Shannon?
Page
Councillor
85.
Laprise?
Through the chair, I think you're correct. That's a typo, that it should be part 2. Yes.
Okay.
We'll fix
Good
that.
eye.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Being that these are both lengthy documents, is there any changes that you can highlight to us that we can focus on? 'Cause it's kind of hard to, yeah.
It is a significant document. One of the things that we were careful with this bylaw is just to make sure we went through legal review with it. So a lot of the content between the two bylaws in general are similar, the old and the new. The new one just provides additional information and details, as well as additional information of how to handle services such as connection requests, how to handle billing, how to handle the non-payment of accounts and such things. One interesting part is in, if I can just find it, I wanted to mention, sorry, give me a moment. Is it does also, in terms of the connections and things, it does leave some room for judgment for council and the CAO in those requests to review the connection requests and to review those and is more specific about where the payment of fees comes for those requests. So right now, everything does, as far as fees and schedules, refers to the fee schedule, which is a separate bylaw, which is convenient so we can update the fee schedule instead of updating the bylaw here. Yeah, as far as connection of fees. So council would know that connections up to curb stops right now, there is no fee that the county has for that. But if the county and council decided to change that in the future, it would just be a matter of updating the fee schedule with that item.
Brad, one other just comment maybe or question. The new one seems to give more authority to the CAO. Would you say that's true, and is that a typical sort of new way of developing a bylaw?
I'm not sure if it's new. It does give more authority to the CAO. With the legal review that we did, it would be more consistent with what other municipalities use for their bylaws as well. They'll review that in terms of in their experience, they support obviously a number of municipalities, and so it would be consistent with general use of these types of bylaws. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It does, yes. Thanks.
I'll just move first reading, so I'll make a motion that council provide first reading of Water and Wastewater Services Bylaw 2021-33.
Deputy Reeve Glosson has moved first reading. Questions or discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried.
I'll move that council provide second reading of Water and Wastewater Services Bylaw 2021-33.
Councillor Eichert has moved second reading. Questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried.
I'll move that permission be granted to hold third and final reading of Bylaw 2021-33.
Questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried unanimously.
And I'll move that council provide third and final reading of Water and Wastewater Services Bylaw 2021-33.
Councillor Laprise has moved third reading. Questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to 2.31, Council Resolution Tracker. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Yes, good morning, Council. Brian from Administration. So on page 114 of your agenda package is the Council Resolution Tracker. Again, anything in green has been deemed completed. Anything in yellow is deemed still in process. The Resolution Tracker starts on page 117. If there are any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Any questions for CEO Henderson?
Morning, Brian. Being what we just passed, the previous bylaw, my question is the fee review for rates. When is the ETA for that?
So I know we had just passed our fee schedule of bylaws. I'm not sure if it could have been completed in the fall. I'd have to get back to you when that was actually completed. But we intend to review that bylaw once a year. And I think that's in Tracy's schedule.
Any other questions? Council's wishes.
I'll move that council accept the Council Resolution Tracker report dated December 21st, 2021 as information.
Councillor Laprise has moved. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to 2.32, Public Participation Initiative.
Yes, good morning, Council. So on page 124 is an RFD for a public participation initiative. So during the training orientation week for Council in October 2021, it became apparent that Council was really interested on determining how best to reach their constituents. We do understand as administration that a one model does not fit all in the county. The county is quite a diverse, large geographical area that, say people in Carsland may not, would prefer different methods of communication than, say, people from Gleason or Dallum. And same with Lakes of Muirfield. Any community within Wheatland County, we think that probably needs different methods of communication. So what administration is proposing is to try to just best understand how to reach all of our residents, to kind of let them know of the county initiatives and just actions that we're kind of taking as administration, as council, as county as a whole. So we do have some kind of just some general ideas, and in this RFD it notes that we plan to provide those results back to council in June of 2022. So council may think, that's a long time, but ultimately what we want to do is we want to take the biggest kind of mail out in the county to reach everyone, which is our tax insert. And those tax bills go out in April. So hence the reason why being kind of delayed getting it back to council. We feel doing it that way, plus some other engagement, either door-to-door, QR codes, some other mail-outs and utility bills, will be able to reach a lot of county residents and just kind of best understand how to reach everyone. If there's any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Any questions?
And maybe just one supplemental point as well, just for the new council. We do have a public participation policy. Wheatland County is required to have one under the MGA. I forget the exact section. However, in that section, it's policy 1.5. One stipulation in that policy is that administration must advise council prior to undertaking any public participation.
No question, just comment, being it's my second term, I don't think I've ever had anybody say to me in my division that they weren't fully aware of what's been going on. At least I'm just speaking for my division. Development issues, things like that. I think we've all seen the hundreds of people that can show up here if there's an issue. So it works in my area. I understand some outlying areas maybe have issues with internet or things like that, but it'd be interesting to see how many people we aren't capturing because of using some kind of Facebook, whatever, and mailers. But I know that sometimes now with the mail, it's probably the worst way of communicating with snail mail, so. Hard to hit it right, that's for sure.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, I think the newspaper is probably the worst. Like, sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. So.
And I'm not sure that it's necessarily a geographical thing, but maybe even just demographics of age and things like that, where younger people more social media, older people more mail or something more traditional, I guess. Yeah, so might be something like that. It'd be good to know. This is a good, yeah, I support it.
Any other questions? Recommend.
I was just going to move a motion.
Okay. How would town hall meetings fit into this, Brian?
So that's definitely something that we want to explore as well. So we want to, as part of the survey, we want to understand exactly how best to convey that information to all residents. So town halls would be an option as well. So I think some general things we're looking at is currently we use a lot of electronic means of communication, which, you know, may not necessarily be the best thing. So depending on, you know, I guess just whoever uses that type of communication, they may not be receiving that, where some people may actually prefer the town halls. So that's part of the reason of this initiative is to understand who, how many, and where. So maybe a good example may be that, you know, Division 4 may not necessarily see the value in town halls, but someone in Division 7 or Division 3, I think we've definitely seen the last town hall that we had 300 people in it, so I think they would like that one. But we'll see. Ultimately, we're just trying to determine the best way to do it. That definitely is a proven method, is public town halls. And we're just trying to determine if that is a method, how to kind of bring people out to those as well. So with Cars Land, I think the difference between that one and our previous AGMs, which were held in person, is that, you know, there's different topics on there that, you know, the public definitely were interested in, and we had lots of turnout, which is excellent. So we're just kind of looking to understand and try to implement that in the future.
Councillor Bigger.
I was just going to move the motion.
That's probably
I'll move that council direct administration to plan a public participation initiative that will outline how to best reach out to Wheatland County residents.
Questions or discussion?
Just to follow up with Rick there, the town halls, I think COVID has totally screwed that up. We all used to have them, or, you know, I was planning to have one and then it hit. And as councillor of the area, I think it's up to you if you want to do it. You just let everybody else know, and then staff will be able to provide you some information. That's how it used to work, and it worked quite well. But I mean, yeah, it's very effective, and you'll see whether, you know, the first one, whether people show up or not, right? So, but definitely, like in Councillor Bigger's area, if there was an issue, people definitely show up. So, and that's good. That's democracy in action, right? So.
But just get an issue and then get your AGM.
Like the post office?
Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah, I fully support doing this. I think it is important to do some of the research and just actually hear from ratepayers what's most effective. And then we can obviously be strategic in how we're investing our time, administration time, and any fiscal investment that's being made into it. Just to further Councillor Larson and Deputy Reeve Clausen's points, I agree with the town halls. I think they're super effective, and there may be synergies if we're doing that sort of in a coordinated fashion. So if administration is preparing, you know, a presentation or something, that we could perhaps utilize that if it's applicable in different divisions rather than sort of recreating for each town hall. There could be synergies where we could collaborate on those. So I know, like, the Division 1 councillor and I had discussed hosting one jointly just prior to COVID, just like Deputy Reeve Clausen, because a lot of our ratepayers are sort of share an area, and so there would be some synergies in that as well. So I appreciate that administration has a plan to research, and then we'll bring that data back to us so we can make some decisions. I think that's great.
Also, another point, it'd be great to be able to utilize some of our halls again. I know the ones in my area are struggling with funding. You know, they've taken out loans just to keep the buildings going. So it'd be great if the overarching government would let us go back to doing what we do best. So
one of the other things I've heard from people in my division is that they don't really know what our strategic plan is. So I think getting out there and getting in front of them is going to be something that's valuable to everyone.
Absolutely, and our AGM will be a good opportunity for that as well. I believe we had to postpone, it might be our last 2 AGMs actually.
Yeah, we do have a resolution. It's actually on the resolution tracker to do one in Division 6. That was typically we do kind of a rotating cycle, and Division 6 was the next one up, and it was for May 2020 and just never kind of got off the ground, unfortunately. But yeah.
But that would be, I think, a really good thing to, in town hall meetings as well in the divisions, because you will have people that may attend locally that might not go to a central, but it could be something good to bring to the AGM as well. Because I think it is a really good document, and it's important that we share that. Any other questions or discussion? Yeah.
I guess in our area we have the Drumheller Mail, and it's got quite a wide circulation. But Wheatland's absent from it. I can get Starland Council, not minutes, but notes, and Nehill at times too. So we're kind of absent from that. But I know it's less than maybe half of the county too. So I don't know if we want to split up, because there is no other paper circulating in the county, so that makes it kind of hard too. And just for everyone's information, for ones that can remember, anyone's a water user, irrigation, they have the dispatch, comes out periodically, and it's a newsletter for the WID that used to be shared with county too, and we'd have our newsletter in with that, and we decided we would do something different, and that's fell through. So yeah, we seem to be going backwards instead of going forward. So good luck. I look forward to it.
Yeah, and I think those are good points. I think it would be key to actually reference like both the Drumheller Times? Mail, sorry. I do read it. And the Strathmore Times. Sorry, that's where Times was coming from. Just to gather some information on how many people do read those regularly and if that would be effective. I agree with Councillor Laprise. I think there will be some that will be sort of geographical nuances to how people get information, but as well, it's definitely different demographics that impact that as well. And then there will always be outliers, like there will be young people that might prefer something to be mailed because they're shifting, like I think ways people access information shifts too with time. So I think it is really relevant to look at that now, and I appreciate the work that will go into it. And further to Councillor Custer's comments with the WID, that has been a discussion just for the new councillors. That's been brought up in a joint meeting with the WID as well, that perhaps there's some potential ways for us to coordinate as well. And I don't know if administration has gone further with that, but that's certainly something that could be looked at within this engagement as well. So really good points. Any other questions or discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. We'll move to 2.33, Development Permit 2021-226. Good morning.
Morning, everyone. I'm Suzanne Hayes, Development Officer with Wheatland County. The application before us is DP 2021-226. It's for a home-based business type 2 for a home-based hair salon. If we go to the location plan, which is on page 132 of the agenda package, you'll see that it is within the Lakes of Muirfield, along Muirfield Crescent, across from the golf course parking lot. All the lots within the Lakes of Muirfield are zone direct control, so the applications for discretionary use development permits come to council rather than going to Municipal Planning Commission. So that's why we're before council today. Circulation area on the same page, we can see that it was circulated to adjacent landowners +1. We had no responses. We circulated it to the Homeowners Association, and their response was that they have discussed it through the board and are in favor of this specific proposal with the intent and promises that were attached. So they have requested parking from clients on the driveway only, no street parking, no signage allowed on the premises that represents the business, and client volumes to be as projected. Alberta Health Services had no response. Internal circulation, there were no concerns. So if we go to pages 133, we can just see some photos of the front of the customer parking area in front of their triple car garage there, so lots of room. There's a paved walkway to the rear of the dwelling where the entrance to the salon will be. And again, no signage is allowed there according to the Homeowners Association. So the home-based business meets the criteria of the MDP and the LUB for a home-based business type 2. Business activities will not occur outside the home. Homeowners Association is in support of the application as presented, and there were no objections from adjacent landowners. So on page 126, we have staff's recommendation, which is to approve the permit for a 2-year term. This is our typical term for initial home-based business, is a 2-year term, and then possibly up to 5 years on a subsequent renewal if we haven't had any issues or complaints. So on page 130, we have the 3 standard responses that council can choose from, and that concludes my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions?
I'll make the motion that council approve DP 2021-226 for a home-based business type 2, subject to the following conditions 1 through 11, and I can read them if so asked.
They are included in the council agenda package. Does anybody wish to have them read? Deputy Reeve Clausen has moved. Questions or discussion?
Good morning.
Oh. Good.
Hi, it's Penny Allen. I'm the homeowner.
Just a question to administration for a DP application.
No.
Good morning.
Just one moment, ma'am. Does council wish to hear from the applicant?
It's at council's discretion. It's not a public hearing, but
Does council wish to hear from the applicant?
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that either.
Okay, I'm hearing,
Yeah,
is anybody opposed to hearing from the applicant? Okay. Please state your name for the record once again, and welcome.
Good morning, it's Penny Allen speaking.
Good morning, Penny, or Ms. Allen.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you so very much for approving this, and I'm really thrilled to be a part of the community. I've been a professional business owner for over 21 years, and I intend only to do give back to this community. Thank you so very much, and looking forward to the positive sense of all of what I've sent so far of you Albertans. You're amazing. I've come from BC, and I really look forward to meeting you all. Thank you so very much.
Well, welcome to Wetland County. We're happy to have you. Council has not approved the development permit yet, but we do have a motion on the floor, so you will have an answer shortly. And thank you for your comments.
Thank you so much.
Any questions or discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. We will move to 2.34.
It's not on.
Why don't we take a 5-minute recess? We're almost due anyways. We will reconvene at 5 after 10. Everybody can refresh their coffee.
Did you have any fail, though? That would be my problem. I'd make it trouble and expense.
Mute off.
We'll call the meeting back to order.
Mixing and all of a sudden it's all.
We'll move to 2.34.
Good morning, Council. So Brian from Administration again. So on page 134 of your Council package is an RFD to approve the interim operating budget and the capital budget. Council went through various scenarios on the budget with Council. So Administration presented the operating budget to Council at the Committee of the Whole on November 9th. And then we proceeded to present approximately half the capital budget on November 9th. Then with that input, we went back and either removed some projects, added some projects, or deferred some projects. The remainder of the capital budget was presented at the December 14th Committee of the Whole, and that was the capital project. Administration also received direction on increasing the operating budget for provincial requisitions at the December 8th Council meeting. So just to kind of summarize some points that Administration took after the capital budget or December 14th Committee of the Whole. So the changes to the capital budget are on page 134. So there was the Eagle Lake land improvements, those are deferred. The broadband initiative, we added $200,000 of project management fees, but we removed the actual installation of that. So if that does go forward, it'll have to come back to Council for approval. Administration also removed the landscaping that was to occur at the front in Centennial Park of the Administration building. And then we also deferred to future years, pending Council approval, for engineering and paving of Township Road 244 on the western border of the town of Strathmore. And just some other things to note, we did include a kind of some summaries for Council for both the operating budget and the capital budget. One very interesting thing to note, just for Council's just information, is on the operating budget. Administration noted that during the presentation at the Committee of the Whole meeting on November 9th that realistically the administrative budget doesn't change much year over year. And I'm kind of just going to prove that kind of point to Council on page 140 of your agenda package. So what Administration did was we usually do up a summary page of all the requisitions that we have, the wages and benefits, all funding to association, our insurance expense, which is approximately $550,000, utilities, gravel pit payments, donations to others, and donations and contributions to others, and our transfers to reserves. So what we do is we take all of those funds and we come up with 40.5 million, and we exclude amortization from this because it's just a non-cash expense. So in 2021, the total of these large expenditures were 85.39% of the budget. In 2022, it's anticipated to be 84.98% of the operating budget. So year over year, you can really tell that nothing has really changed. So that's a difference of around 0.41% is the actual percentage difference. But I thought that was just a very interesting point to kind of note to Council as well. And then we also included some just some tables on our revenues, kind of what sources they do come from, and just included some variances. So some of the variances that you'll see in this capital budget. So the capital budget final total would be 18.6 million. There is some carry forward from 2021 that were just unspent funds. Yeah, and that's really it. And anything also to consider that any of these projects that are not currently in the budget can be added to the budget at a later point in time. We just like to get them all in at once if possible. And the simple way to kind of do this is just approve by council resolution afterwards. If there are any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Questions on the budget? Councillor Kester.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. This is related to the capital budget of this paving of this road, 244, has been on for a long time. And keep thinking of ways, so I come up with a an idea. If we were to take a traffic count on that road for 48 hours, midweek, say Tuesday, Wednesday, and then take it on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and do that for 2 weeks, I would like to see that breakdown, because they keep saying, oh, it's county people coming in, but we don't have that many people in the county driving over there. And it will give us an idea of how much of that traffic is Strathmore. And then when you do the traffic counts, can you do by hours? Because there's peak times in the morning and the afternoon when we get the traffic. And that way we would have something to present to the town and when we're talking about sharing things.
For sure, we can definitely do those traffic counts. And I'll kind of leave that with Public Works to kind of facilitate those ones. And we can collect that data and bring it back to council for future consideration for that project.
Yeah, don't do it through the holidays. You know, through a work time. Okay, thanks.
Just a question to council, because one of the sort of considerations when we were discussing that road was the heavy equipment from the construction as well. And so I'm just wondering if it's most relevant if we were to schedule those traffic counts. And I recognize that the construction will be ongoing. I don't know the timeline for that development. But for me, this was less about traffic counts at this time and more about just wear and tear on the road, and as well as impeding the actual construction with our paving, because that could really hinder the developers because there is such significant construction happening on that side in that residential development right now. So those were some of my considerations in supporting the removal of that at this time. Not to say that I wouldn't contemplate it in the future, and I think that information would be key at that time. And as well, like you referenced, I completely agree, really relevant for discussions with the town of Strathmore as well. But I just wonder if it would be more relevant when the development is complete. Those are my personal thoughts.
Just want to I have not had one resident say that they want this road paved. This has got nothing to do with any of my constituents, right? This is going to be a benefit to the town and to the town only, as far as I can tell. So, like I said, I'm good at waiting till that system, that subdivision is completely built out, because there is going to be an awful lot of more heavy traffic equipment being brought into the site. So,
yeah, and following up to Councillor Eichert, the only time I've had an issue with it is when there was a big giant pothole in the spring, and the staff have been looking after it really well. Just to note, this road is banned, so that does deter that traffic away from it now. And if we did pave it, that would be 100% unbanned, so then that whole area would definitely take more traffic. So basically now the construction traffic would go up 817 through the town to their own site for the cement trucks. So.
Good point.
Or whatever needs to come in there, heavy equipment. So it really, and I like Glenn's idea, taking traffic counts and everything. That's good, because I guarantee you in the morning you'll see that it'd be just a steady ticker going by, and when people are coming home, because it's very busy. So, but it's probably well over 90% town use.
So in the past, when they were developing Hillview, they needed to get in from the north. And that was a banned road because that was all oiled up to the 817. The town approached the county and asked if they could pave it so they could get in there with their cement trucks and whatnot. So they did do that, but eventually they annexed it and got it anyway, so it wasn't. They do at times realize they got to get in over that banned road. So maybe history will repeat itself again.
Yes, I would look to administration for sort of advice on timing of traffic counts and timing of paving. It doesn't have to be today, and this might be a good conversation too for a meeting with the town of Strathmore, just to see how do we work together so that whether there are cost-sharing implications for in the future or whether there are timing considerations that we could keep in mind that might work best for the town and the development that's happening there. So I'm not necessarily opposed to doing the traffic counts now. And maybe it would be good to, have a pattern of data as well. It's not that I'm opposed to doing it now. I want it when it's most relevant.
And ultimately, administration will collect data just on an ongoing basis. This is a heavily used road in the county,
Absolutely.
so we can look for, not necessarily looking for trends, but we can delineate trends from the road counts that do come forward. And we definitely recognize this is a road that potentially could have some future upgrades to it. So ultimately, we will be kind of getting that data anyway. So leave it with us because it's not in the approved or the proposed budget. And we'll go from there when we get the data. And ultimately, administration has taken council's direction that council wants data-driven decisions. So ultimately, that's going to just be part of our process.
I have a question, and maybe this was answered before, I can't remember, but and it's not a big deal, but Gleason Water, on both the revenue and the expense side, it drops considerably, and I'm just curious why 472,000 to 140,000 in 2022, 23, and 24. Something happened, and then on the expense side, it went from 789,000 to 400,000.
Yes, so that one specifically, any of our contributions to the WRC have been included in the Gleason Water. So in actually even going back to, I think it was up to 2017, we've been making contributions to the WRC. I think just the way the account structure was set up, it was just to Gleason, so we kept that coding consistent. Realistically, if we're looking for one thing I should say as an accountant is that our general ledger is used for recording, not tracking. So ultimately the larger expenditure in 2021 is for the phase 3 contribution that the county had to the WRC. Okay. We do track it internally, the cost, the contributions to that regional water line, but it just gets coded to the Gleason Water sub-department.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Talk about the water line.
Council's wishes.
History of it. I'll move that we adopt the interim operating budget 2022 to 2024 as presented.
Councillor Larison has moved. Questions or discussion?
Maybe just one clarification. Instead of adopt, could we
approve?
Just say approve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clerical error.
Questions or discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Subsequent motion regarding the capital budget.
I'll make a motion that council approves the capital budget 2022 to 2026 as presented.
Questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Just on behalf of council, I'd like to thank administration for the process that you took us through with the budget. I think it was excellent. I appreciated the work that was done for the new councillors, sort of through orientation to prepare us to look at this, and then as well just the thorough discussions that we had around both the operating and the capital budget and the work from each of the departments as well. I think it was excellent to hear directly from sort of the department leads on where the priority sort of issues are or projects that we're looking at, the rationale for them, and then to be able to have council questions. There was excellent questions asked and really good information provided by administration, and I'd like to thank you for that. It was a fulsome process to look at these budgets, and I think that's critical, so thank you.
Yes, our management team and all staff involved did such an excellent job. Yeah. They do, and we keep getting better at it. So
yeah, it's exceptional. Thank you. We will move to 2.35, wetland payment for Township Road 230 construction.
Yes, good morning, Council. So Brian from Administration again. This is just an item that Administration had an oversight on. We had thought that this payment was already made to Alberta Environment and Parks. This is a shovel-ready project in Division 1, just with the kind of rejigging of the organizational chart with the dissolution of our larger road construction crew. This project was on the books for 2020, just got deferred because of COVID. All the landowners are also signed up, kind of ready to go. It's kind of a 2-mile stretch on Township Road 230, just east of Highway 56. We're just kind of required to make this payment. The payment is actually overdue by, I think, a year. So Alberta Environment and Parks has said that if we do make this payment, that they'll just extend it and we'll be good to go. $43,860.60. It's kind of just a formula from AEP that we follow. And just for council's information, it's a very normal payment that happens on when disturbing a wetland during road construction projects.
Any questions? There's a suggested motion, and if we could read it out in its entirety. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just a question on the wetlands. Do we ever get reports back as to where this money gets spent within the county, within Alberta? I know that I was at a wetlands project thing a couple years ago, and they said there would be some information coming back. So just want to make sure it's not going to use somewhere else. It's supposed to be to regenerate wetlands.
We'll take that question and take it back to administration and provide council an answer on that one in the future.
I believe we had a submission into RMA about wetlands. Where is that in the? Because this is ludicrous. We're giving the government $43,000 to repair their roads. So this is insanity. But it's what it is.
To follow up to your question, I won't look for it right now, but I will excise that out of the resolution report card and circulate it to council. The update from RMA, which would include comments from Alberta Environment in response to our advocacy. Any other questions or discussion?
I'll make the motion that council authorize administration to make a payment for a wetland replacement fee to Alberta Environment and Parks in the amount of $43,860.60 for the reconstruction of 2 miles of Township Road 230 east of Highway 56.
Questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll move to 3.1, correspondence. Correspondence from Alberta Recreation and Parks Association, and as well there was an additional piece of correspondence circulated regarding the formal initiation of the Village of Hazar annexation application, which was circulated physically this morning. Question to administration. For action out of the initiation of the annexation, how does administration recommend we proceed?
Why don't you leave that with us, and just because we did receive it after the council package, and let us take a read over it. It is in line with the conversations that we have had with the Village of Hazar. So we definitely the previous council definitely supported this initiative. Administration still does. So we'll take a look over that correspondence and let council know what we would recommend to do with it.
Perfect. Any other questions regarding the correspondence?
Move we accept this information.
Councillor Kester has moved. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. CEO Henderson, do you want to motion regarding the Village of Hazar, or you'll just bring it back as an RFD?
We'll just bring it back as an RFD.
Perfect. We'll now move to section 4 of the agenda, our closed session. I'll move us into closed session. All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll just give a minute just for transition.